If touch is, and this is a good question I got yesterday, if touch is an energy, and many of us have, perhaps have thought about it, some people know this answer very well. If touch is an energy, then does this energy get transmitted when you touch others? What happens when you touch somebody's feet? Now, how does this, if there's positive energy or negative energy, how do we know? Will it affect us? So here is the beauty of this energy principle. Please listen to this carefully. By touch, you can receive energy, you can give energy. So now that's clear, right? How will a negative energy from somebody else, if somebody else touches you, okay, assuming, quote unquote, I don't know what kind of negative energy it will be, but with some negative impulse or thought, he or she touches you, will that affect you? Will that create some illness or negative energy into you and somehow disturb your equilibrium? Now that could happen only if you are so weak in your mind and so weak in your spiritual practice that you don't have an aura or fortress that is around you. If you practice, let's say the Om, if you practice your mantras, if you practice yoga, if you practice any kind of sadhana, if you have the Guru's grace, there is an aura of protection. So that is, even if it's the simplest aura, a mildest aura, it will protect you. Unless you're so confused and so weak, which I've not met anyone like that yet, right? It will not affect you. Why? Why is that negative energy from that person so weak that it cannot affect you? Negative energy from anyone is very weak. If at all it affects the person who's emitting that negative energy, it will not affect the other person. You might get depressed if you're in a person's depressed company. Let's say one guy goes on talking about his problems. After a while, you are also like, oh gosh, I feel depressed. Now that is just a satsangam effect of a satsang, right? That is not causing negative energy in you, right? Unless you open your mind and get involved into it so much. That means you are opening the door. If you don't want, you can close the door in your mind and not get affected by it, right? So this is what we call when people get excited because somebody rouses you to anger. You blame that person, but the person listening is allowed that to happen. Yeah, I'm willing to listen to you. Come on, yeah, I want to kill somebody because you told me, or some weird thing like that. But that is all because you are allowing that energy to come to you. If you don't consciously want that energy to come to you, it will not affect you. You will not allow it. You have that much divine power is inbuilt. Why is it so? Positive energies will easily flow to you. Easily, even without your asking, positive energies will flow. Blessings will flow. How so? You see, when you want to bless somebody in your own mindset, you become selfless at that moment. At that moment, no matter you're Ravana, let's say, you're a demon king and you've got a whole history of evil deeds behind you. At that moment, when you want to bless somebody, at that moment, your heart feels like you want to bless somebody and you bless. That moment, your spirit opens to that spirit and positive energy happens. Because in that blessings, in that willingness to bless somebody, you are opening the doors of oneness. Because you are one, right? We are connected. We are all in one consciousness. So when we think of somebody else and say, may blessings be there. May that person be safe. May that person be happy. It doesn't matter who you are, how sinful you are, how bad you are. At that moment, your positive energy is connecting to that person and blessing them. Okay. Because why? Because I've opened my mind to that concept of oneness. The I in me has taken a back step. And now that person is in my consciousness. And that person's goodness is in my consciousness. It'll bless. Okay, so now let's turn the other way around. Let us say I don't like somebody. So can I hold that person in consciousness and say, may evil befall that person. May that person get destroyed. I hate him. I don't like him. Who is in that consciousness actually? Not that person. Now when I think like that, I might think that person is in my consciousness. That person is actually not in my consciousness at all. Why? Because I've closed that door that opens to connect to that person's spirit. Why? Because of me and I and what I want. because he spoke to me something bad, or because she did something bad to me, I want her out of my life. So I'm sitting here and meditating, I want her out of my life. I want that person to get ill. I want that person to get sick. All I'm doing is creating that phenomenal negative energy in my own consciousness. But because of the the I is creating it. It is not even going out. Please think of it. This is positive energy, an energy of blessing, a prayer for healing opens that door. So the person on the other hand will receive positive energy without any problem. You will never receive a negative energy from somebody unless you open your mind, you open and you say, I surrender to you. Whatever you tell me, I will do. And then that person will take charge of you, and you allow that person to overcome by some subtle way. That person can never transmit negative energy to you. There is no such thing as black magic having effect on you unless you're so weak, unless you don't have a guru's protection. If you have a guru whom you have accepted in your heart, that's all you need. If you have a guru, automatically that protection comes. But if you feel something is going wrong because of some black magic, or because of somebody done some evil or something like that, which some people might think, that is all weaknesses in our mind. Nobody outside can actually bring effect upon you. Nobody, unless you open your mind and surrender to that out of fear or out of confusion or out of guilt. Then you are allowing that person by his speech to plant a subconscious thought in you, which will start becoming acting in you. You have allowed that door. You have consciously opened that door. But if you don't want, you say, protect me. That is why mantra is traya. Trayate iti mantra. Manana trayate iti. Traya is protection. Trayate iti mantra. That which protects you. Mantra protects us. It gives that powerful energy to the mind to protect. So even in times of deep depression and negativity for my own self, if I go into a state of deep depression, even then that mantras that I have chanted will come and give us a protection. That is the power of these mantras. And these mantras, that's why when we do Om Gang Ganapati Namah, I go on saying, I'm not giving a musical program. I'm using music as an excuse to allow us to listen to those mantras, because I know those mantras begin to protect us, begin to bring vitality, protect us from diseases and so on. So that is the power of mantra, of sound, because from sound is what the entire creation has come. So let's go back to sound. That is it. Don't worry about touch. Yes, energies can be transmitted, but negative energies very, very rarely. If that was the case, then we could have killed each other by just touching. It doesn't work like that. Okay, even if that negative energy is supposed to touch, one touch is not going to make any difference. If you're so weak, and if that person is constantly touching you and so on and so forth. So that is all very, very exceptional cases. If you don't like somebody, you're not going to let somebody touch you anyway, right? That one occasional pat on the back or touching you is not going to do anything, nothing at all. Unless, like I said, you're so weak and so caught in guilt-ridden and so fear-ridden that you say, oh my God, he touched me, something is going to happen to me. No, you're in your fear opening that door, and then you will automatically, all your own subconscious fears will begin to act. But please be assured that touch will not harm you. If anything, touch can only heal. It can be less effective. Like you go to a person and he touches you and says, I'm healing you and all, it may not be effective because that person is not so selfless in that. Not to blame him, but it's natural, right? There might be an agenda, like you pay a priest something, he blesses you. If you pay him less, he's going to say, anyway, I'll bless you. So he's doing it half-heartedly. He's not being an instrument of the divine, being selfless and all of that. He's doing blessing you because you gave him some dakshina. And so it's like, I'm talking in general terms. So he'll bless you. So that is why what happened in the previous times, what they would do is the Brahmin who comes, or the priest who does the puja, they will make him very happy. Please eat well. Please do everything. Because when he is happy, he's going to chant mantras with a happy mind. He's going to spread positive vibrations in the house. So yes, whatever you want, we'll give you. Now that those people could take advantage, that is their problem. But the point here is, you make them happy, right? So it all of that really plays a role into why certain practices have been certain ways. Now, sometimes they've gone astray, if you will. Priests have taken advantage of that, and so they demand things, and you are afraid that he might get angry and curse you, so you go on pleasing him. It doesn't work like that. Nothing done out of fear can ever work. So you can tell him, all right, this is what I can afford. If you're going to get angry, you please get angry. What can I do? This is all I can afford. Take it. And if that priest gets angry, that's why I said, if that priest gets angry, for example, and he curses you, let's say, quote unquote, curses you, that is not going to affect you. Why? Because he is caught in his own, I wanted this, I and mine principle. So he has already shut the door. So now he is creating his poison for himself or herself. So please don't worry about touch. Having said all of that, here was a simple solution that Baba gave all of us in the ashram. Don't touch others unnecessarily. Why touch? This is not the concept of the Indian subcontinent ancient time. It was never the practice of touching at all. It was always namaste, namaskar. Only your near and dear ones, again, according to age limit, they would put their arms around, give a hug and all of that. Never strangers, never. Never. Now you might consider this old-fashioned or this is ridiculous. Nowadays, it's all just, we have to move with times and all that. You can do all that. You can't change the basic instincts in people. So the best way is what? Just say Namaste, Ram Ram, Sita Ram, Sai Ram, and move on and express all your love and affection through your eyes, through your feelings, through your spiritual energy. That connects you even more than the necessity to touch somebody. I honestly believe in this. I could be completely wrong, but I truly believe that we don't have to touch anyone. And just like sound, if I am very conscious and mindful about touching, then touch becomes a powerful energy in me. Just like sound, when I don't speak unnecessarily, speak falsehood, speak sounds which are negative, create chaos in my consciousness, then mantras don't have effect. Why? Because I've created so much other chaos in my consciousness with other sounds coming in through my ears, going out from my mouth. Mantras will become less effective. Same thing with touch. So if I can be mindful of what I touch, whom I touch, how I touch, who's touching me, if I become mindful, not rude with people, but be mindful and be very polite and discreet about these things. If we can do that, then touch, we will begin to absorb touch and utilize touch as a powerful energy in our spiritual practice. Baba was very particular, very mindful of who he would allow to touch and who he would not, when we should touch him and when we should not. Just because we had a chance, we just couldn't. He would come out for darshan, he knew that was a time we could touch him as he passed by. But there were times he would just be completely aloof. He will not allow people to touch him. Why? Don't ask me, I don't know. But he was very particular. So I began to appreciate the sense of touch. It is so important. So there are healers who practice healing practices like pranic healing, Reiki and all of that with the sense of touch. So if their lifestyle, they're very mindful about their touch, then their touch carries a lot of energy. And that could cause healing. It all depends on the healer, their life practices, who they are, and so on and so forth. So, thank you for asking that question.